I'm King Link, and it's time to look at the humble choice for September 2020. Simple rules. I play each game for an hour, and now I'm ready to tell you what I think. However, this month I actually made a small change. I randomized the order that I played the games in. I often prefer games that I played earlier in the list, so I wasn't sure if that was because they were the headliners or just preferable. Either way, I'll leave the play order in the description, but the results seem to say that it didn't really change my opinions too much. However, I'll probably continue to do that because I actually like the mixture. And once again, premium and classic subscribers get 12 games instead of 10. I'm a huge fan of this. I really don't like the choice itself, and getting all the games is a better deal, of course. With the 2 bonus games, we're talking about 14 games this month, so let's get started. Forager. Now, a quick disclaimer, back when I originally got this game, I got a review copy from Hopfrog. It shouldn't affect my opinions now, but I do feel like I need to disclose this. Anyways, Forager is a incremental game, though it doesn't really look or play like one. If you're not familiar with the genre, it's a group of games that focus on removing the gameplay's flash and policing the gameplay loop where players will spend hours playing the game to see just numbers grow. There's a lot of them out there like Cookie Clicker or Clicker Heroes, but I think Forager is kind of similar. Sadly, the one thing that's missing in Forager is an endgame. I played the game for about 30 hours before I had done everything I felt was possible in the base game. The game has grown in size since then, so one day I'll probably have to go back and see what has changed. Sadly, I lost my save game, so it's going to be a little bit harder to do that. You should play this game if you like incremental games or like passive games. It's a nice, chill experience with minor combat. On the other hand, if you don't like what you're seeing, you might want to skip this because this is what the majority of the game will be about. Golf with your friends. Golf with your friends is a mini golf game that feels simultaneously lacking a lot of features and still a lot of fun to share with someone. I played through an 18-hole course with my daughter. The idea here is to play with friends or family, whether it be online simultaneously or offline. Well, okay, offline might be a little bit rougher. You see, there's no split screen, so you have to play hot seat, and you can't even assign controllers or keyboards to each player, so everyone controls the game at the same time. The missing feature of no split screen is kind of what I'm talking about. There's no way to play only a couple of holes as well or randomize the order of the holes. Even playing together, I was player 1, so I teed off first on every hole. She was always second, so she got an advantage. Stuff like that is just kind of odd. It still was a lot of fun. Now, I would recommend skipping Classic. It's just normal mini golf. They actually have a party mode that has power-ups, hockey mode that changes the hole to goalie. It's all the same levels, though. There's also basketball and an explore mode. There's good, unique courses, workshop support, and a level editor, so you can always get more content. I actually got 2 copies of the game in the bundle, so it's great if you have a remote friend. You can just give them a copy. I also heard the online mode is much better. It allows you to putt at the same time. Would be a better experience. So pick this up if you want to play mini golf, especially if you have friends who already have it. It's a great concept, but I actually didn't see anyone to play online with, so you'll probably either want to play hot seat or gather a group of friends yourself. If you want to play solo, you might be disappointed. And my daughter wants you to know that she won our game of golf. I have video proof otherwise, but we'll let her believe that if she wants to. Strange Brigade. Strange Brigade screams Zombie Army Trilogy as you play it, and for a good reason. This is made by Rebellion, who also made the Zombie Army games as well as Sniper Elite. The big difference is Strange Brigade has an over-the-top campaign complete with an energetic announcer that feels like he would be at home in those campy serials that Indiana Jones was based on. It adds a much-needed element to the game and makes the game even more enjoyable to play. There's also a lack of sniper rifles here. While Strange Brigade is made for a 4-player multiplayer co-op, I was easily able to play through the first levels of the campaign solo and had a great time with it, even though I typically struggle with the horde mode style. And while I'm sure it's going to get harder, I would consider playing more of it in just single-player mode. Overall, it's a solid game and an interesting one that I haven't heard of before, and this is once again what I look for in the humble choice. Pick this up if you have a group of friends and you want to tackle a new game or want to play a campaign together. Even if you want to play this in single player, I think you'll have a good time, especially with that announcer, though I expect solo players to struggle after a while. Lethal League Blaze. Lethal League, the predecessor to this game, has been floating around and been bundled a few times. I was never really a fan of that one. Lethal League was a mixture of baseball meeting a fighting game, as if playing a season with Corona still rampant wasn't dangerous enough. The biggest problem in the original game is that there were very weak offerings for single players. Lethal League Blaze is essentially an updated Lethal League, but it adds a story mode as well, and admittedly, it is a solid story, though it probably will only take you a couple hours to play through. The rest of Blaze is a bigger and better version of Lethal League. If you have a group of friends, I imagine you could have a great time playing through this with them. There is an online component that I was able to find a game in, so you can play with other players online, but I think there's a couch or a party component that will make the gameplay that much sweeter. Pick this up if you like Lethal League, want a game to play with a group of friends, or like what you're seeing. It's a strange one, but it's really going to be for multiplayer. Skip it if you're only going to play it by yourself. Generation Zero. Generation Zero is like a multiplayer survival horror zombie game, but there are robots instead of zombies. Robots that can shoot you from a great distance and take what feels like entirely too many bullets to kill. I'm sure there are going to be people out there looking for yet another multiplayer survival game, and there is a high level of scavenging here. I actually constantly felt like I was out of ammo and looking for loot so I could get more. The enemies are extremely aggressive when you're seen, and that might be someone's dream. I was playing through this game solo though, and I'm going to be honest, I do think you need another player to make this work. The gameplay felt average at best and the experience was lacking. You go to a location, you look for special items, and they get told about yet another location. Granted, at the end of my hour with the game, I found this interesting location that might open up the world, but I just disliked the gameplay enough that I'll never come back. As I said though, I'm sure there is a fan base out there for this game, it's just not me. Truthfully though, it never was going to be. Play this if you have friends and you want to play a survival horror game with robots. Don't play this otherwise. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. The original Yooka-Laylee was based on Banjo-Kazooie and it was okay. It was a game with a 20-year-old design philosophy, but the game itself felt like it was made 20 years ago. It just felt outdated. So I wasn't looking forward to the sequel, but I really should have been. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is not a Banjo game. Instead, the team of ex-Rare devs revived yet another of their classic franchises, Donkey Kong Country. I mean, look at this game. It's so Donkey Kong Country, it hurts. But it hurts so good. This is a great revival that breathes new life into the franchise and is worth playing. There's a lot that I loved here, but the 20 levels in the game have remixed versions as well, and it's so fun to replay the level to see what's changed. Each of the ways the levels get remixed is different as well. The overworld is a thing of pure joy as well, and my only complaint of Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is something at the end of the game. The final level is extremely hard. It really is an impossible lair. I've heard that they've added some changes to hopefully make it better, but yikes. Still, one super hard level and 20 or 40 great levels, I'm all about this, and it may even get on the best of this year list for me, although that's a bit more of a lack of great games I've been playing this year than this one being at that god tier, but it's still fantastic. Get this if you like platformers at all, if you like retro games, if you like Rare. I think this game alone is probably worth the price of the entire bundle. I heavily recommend this one. Just as a note, I got this game for free from Epic on New Year's Day. It's possible you already have this game from there as well, though Steam Achievements makes me want to play through this entire game yet again. The Occupation. The Occupation has a political story, at least that's what I assume. The opening minutes of the game has an angry woman and a slick-talking guy who argue, and then the game flashes back to a tutorial area that is honestly a bit confusing, and the story struggles really to connect to the player. Then it flashes forward to what you're seeing now. I don't know if I understand the purpose of the Occupation. It claims to be an immersive sim, and the world does have many qualities of that. There's a large number of scripted actions that the players will see over time, and multiple ways to do many of the things that it wants you to do. But the game bobbles the immersion by having a single guard who told me on 5 different occasions to stop letting him see me sneak around. It feels like he was more mad that he saw me than I was actually sneaking around, and it doesn't seem like he's actually going to stop me. It doesn't help that there's no in-chapter save, and it feels like the game has real-time progression, so a meeting that takes place in 60 minutes means the player has to find things to do for 60 minutes of game time. There are enough options, of course, but nothing feels like it's advancing the plot, because the game lacks a reason for the player to care about the stakes. Play this if you want to be a journalist who acts like a secret agent or a spy, or really if you want to play Deus Ex with none of the action or the risk. All others can safely skip this one. Catherine Classic. Catherine Classic is a fantastic action puzzle game. The gameplay is as you see. It's a version of Sokoban where the goal is to climb ever higher before the ground falls from underneath you, or in this case, a boss catches you. This is the primary gameplay of the puzzle sections. However, what makes Catherine stand out is the rest of the game, which is almost a visual novel as it tells its story focused on the main character, Vincent, and his relationship with his girlfriend, Catherine with a K, and how he's cheating on her with Catherine with a C, as well as what happens after that point. There's a lot of interesting moral choices that the game presents, as well as tough but fair puzzle sections. There's no randomized levels as part of the storyline, so the only challenge is using a variety of skills to climb ever higher, and yes, that does become quite challenging. The only real issue I have with the game is that there's a better version out there called Catherine Full Body. For some reason, it has yet to be released on PC, perhaps it may never be. But I hope to see that version one day, though it does just expand on this story. Pick this up if you like puzzles. Really, if you don't, you're gonna struggle with this one. You should also check this one out if you like interesting stories and moral dilemmas, but to get to them, you will have to beat the block puzzles. Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Vampire the Masquerade is a long-running tabletop RPG and video game franchise. There have been multiple RPG entries in the series, and it is quite popular. This one is not one of them. Instead, this time it's a visual novel. Now, I like the concept of visual novels. If it tells a good story, it's fine, even if it is mostly like a storybook or choose-your-own-adventure. As for the Vampire the Masquerade, this writing... there's references to Elon Musk, all the things she said by Tattoo, and other stuff that really feel out of place. In general, I'm not a fan of the writing. Maybe this is typical of the Vampire the Masquerade franchise, though. If you want some relatively easy achievements, you can hold the X button and hammer A and beat the story in about 10 minutes for a playthrough. Otherwise, you're going to be seeing through a lot of story about vampires, masquerading, keeping the secret from normies, and so on. I'm sure this is what the fans of the franchise will like, but as I sat through it, I kind of heard myself sighing because, again, the writing didn't pull me in. Grab this if you love Vampire the Masquerade, or you absolutely love visual novels and you need one about vampires. Otherwise, this is probably a skip for everyone else. The Shapeshifting Detective. The Shapeshifting Detective is an FMV game where the player talks to several different people and, well, yeah, he shapeshifts. It's an interesting concept, and unlike the studio's previous title, The Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, where you had to type in questions, everything you can say is on the screen. Players are just going to click what they want to say and listen to the responses. This is very similar to an old adventure game with a focus on talking to people rather than hunting for clues. The story in this one is a bit strange, and the acting... it's a little bit off at times. However, I am curious about what I've seen, and I want to see more, though I will say the writing is a lot more suggestive than I was expecting. It's also a bit of a shorter game. It's going to be between 2 or 3 hours, but it feels like it's going to be a unique 2 or 3 hours. There's just something about the story here. There's a lot of cuts in the video, though. It's a bit distracting. Pick this up if you like strange stories or FMV games, or you just want to see something unique. The level of interaction that you're seeing is about it, though. Evoland Legendary Edition. The original Evoland feels like a video game version of Airplane, where the focus is on analyzing, dissecting, and looking at various pieces of the RPG genre, adding them in one at a time, and usually making a joke. If you remember the NES version of Zelda, any 16-bit RPG, or even Diablo, I'd highly recommend this game. The experience is unlike any other video game I played, and as a fan of classic RPGs, it's an enjoyable journey, though it is a little bit on the short side. Evoland 2 actually moves away from the pure parody formula, but produces a far longer and meatier RPG that toys with other features and still injects some of the same humor as the original game did, but with different targets. Why am I talking about this? Well, Evoland Legendary Edition adds the original Evoland along with its sequel into a single package. The two games are a bit different, but RPG fans will almost certainly enjoy both of them. I think Evoland 1 is very clever, and you're seeing the opening of it here. I played through the first 50 minutes of the sequel and had a great time as well. Play this if you're a fan of the RPG genre, especially if you like older ones, the 16-bit era. There's a lot of brilliant and unique moments here, however, since both games are spoofing the formula at some level, though the second one does play it a little straighter, you're going to have to know what they're talking about. If you don't like RPGs, you're probably going to dislike this game as well. Fun with Ragdolls, the game. Why the game? Fun with Ragdolls is a sandbox game where you make your own fun. Okay, tagline done. This game is just terrible. Imagine Minecraft, but without any gameplay and just building stuff and then ragdolling your character. There's not even a way to make a level interesting or an adventure mode, just ragdoll your character. How fun. I went through the entire tutorial, and then you're given a sandbox mode or a world browser to download other people's maps. I really didn't feel like building a level. It seems okay, but I wanted to see the very best levels and see what they looked like. They look like Fall Guy levels, but even there, it's a replication of the formula without scripting to really make it interesting. Someone clearly likes it. I mean, there's a 90% approval rating on Steam, but I honestly can't believe this game is in this bundle. I know I crapped on 1980X earlier this year. This game makes that game look great. I just don't understand this game. I actually stopped after 30 minutes. I don't get this. I love Minecraft, so it's not that. This game made me think about the PS3 game Pain and how somehow this is still beneath even that game, which was mostly just throwing a ragdoll around a level and getting points. Play this if you like ragdolls. I just don't know. I'd rather spend my time building in games that have a little more structure, really any structure. I think it's safe to skip this one. So those are the 12 choices in this month's Humble Choice. We have 2 bonus games, and I think they're both interesting. Alt 254. Alt 254 is what I call a developer game. Alt 254 is described as a minimalist open-world action-adventure game, and yeah, I get that. The open-world aspects are a little bit hidden at the beginning, but you can explore this world as you want and try to gather pixels or something else. I'm honestly not 100% sure what this game is about, but it does look great. Alt 254 refers to the binary code, which is a single black square that represents the main character, aka a pixel. So that makes sense. The fact that everything else is just pixels in this game, whether it be keys, doors, enemies, or even the bosses, make it more interesting. This is a very strange concept. That's why I kind of call it a developer game, because it's going to appeal to developers more than normal gamers. But as a free add-on, I'd recommend people check this out just for how unique a concept this game is. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go with this one. It is a great bonus game, though. It's just something, like I said, unique and different. Good job. Carto. This month's demo is Carto, and man, this is good. Carto is a reference to cartographers, I think, and in Carto, our main character can rearrange the world and change the map at any time. It's a very interesting and slick concept, and I really like what I saw here. 2 issues is it's only a demo, and it's only 10 minutes long. Neither make it a bad game, but I really want more of this, which means I actually am going to be wishlisting this game. It's done its job. If you pick up the bundle, try this one out. I mean, 10 minutes isn't going to kill anyone, and it's such a novel concept, you should probably play it. With that out of the way, what do I think of this month's bundle? There's a big issue I had with this bundle, but it's also why this is a great bundle. This month, I've played 4 of these games previously. Forager, Yooka-Laylee, Catherine Classic, and Evoland, even though I only played the first half. Also, I purchased the Shapeshifting Detective about a week ago. So I think this is a great month. I can accept that I probably have more games than most people. I'm actually closing in on 2,000 games right now. So yeah, this is going to happen. And honestly, it's not the worst problem when the games I already own in the bundle are games I would heavily recommend to other players. The only real issue I have with this bundle is that 4 games here need to be played in multiplayer to really have fun with them. Those are Golf with Friends, admittedly you get a second copy, Strange Brigade, okay, you can't play that single player, Generation Zero, and Lethal League Blaze really needs to be multiplayer. That's not a huge negative, mind you, but it is a bit disappointing that so many of the games are multiplayer focused. So let's take a look at the weakest and strongest of the month. Since Premium and Classic get all the games, you don't have to really choose, but I do want to call out 3 games at the bottom this month because, well, that's kind of the fun of reviewing this stuff. The third weakest, Vampires the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. It was either this one or the Occupation, and the deciding factor was I might go back and play the Occupation when I'm not under a time crunch. The fact is, I'm not a Masquerade fan. I like the visual novel format, but I think you already have to be a fan of this one to really go all in. The second weakest of this month was Generation Zero. It has bad Steam reviews, it has bad Metacritics, it's not just me. I think there are several better choices out there. The idea of doing an open-world survival horror does work, but I don't think replacing zombies with robots was enough to make this game work, and it's just not fun. After an hour, I'm definitely not coming back. And the weakest this month was Fun with Ragdolls. A couple of months ago, we got Boundless as a surprise game from a previous month. That is a fantastic game. Minecraft is everywhere. Fun with Ragdolls just lacks any of those pieces that make those games interesting. Sandboxes, cats, and poop. I'll let you make your own joke because this game expects you to make your own levels. Which brings us to the strongest games of the month. 5th strongest of this month, I try to put a game that's a little bit strange into each month's top 5. This month it's Shapeshifting Detective. Yes, I don't think this one is perfect, but I can't deny that I want to play more and see this story. I like the concept, I know the studio's previous work, this should be an interesting one. Fourth strongest of this month, Catherine Classic. I'd love to put this game higher, but it's really only going to appeal to puzzle fans. However, it's a clever and interesting game and deals with adult topics and concepts in a great way. I'm a huge fan of Catherine Classic. I've actually played through it multiple times. I think everyone should give this a shot. Third strongest of this month is The Strange Brigade. Now, I found this game to be very entertaining. I think it's a clever concept. The over-the-top announcer really works. The level design, the gameplay, it all makes me want to play more, and I'm considering returning in what probably should be a multiplayer-only focused game. Admittedly, that's not normal for me. Now, the second strongest of this month is Evoland Legendary Edition. Yes, I did say this game is really for fans of the RPG genre. The RPG genre, though, is everywhere, and this game tackles a lot of different parts of the genre. Everything from Zelda, not really an RPG, Diablo, not a typical RPG, and of course, Final Fantasy, such an RPG. The sequel fixes the first game's length issues, and again, I will be returning to play the rest of this one. The strongest of this month is going to be Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. I love this game. I think it may be in my running for one of my games of the year. The only issue I had with it previously was I didn't have it on Steam. Now I do. The gameplay is solid, the experience is fun and inventive, the map that you're seeing now is easily one of the best parts of the game, and I think they've made the Impossible Lair a little less impossible, so I'm excited to play this one again. I honestly don't understand why this was not a headliner of the bundle, because it's a fantastic game. I think it's worth the full price of the bundle. Maybe they were considering that it was available previously on Epic for free, but it is still a great game. And that's what I have for the bundle this month. Thank you very much if you've been watching this far. Of course, if you want to help out more, subscribe, ring the bell, share this with others. All of that will always help out. And if you want to know more of my opinions, I am actually going to be trying to play the Shapeshifting Detective in the next 30 days. I've been writing short Steam and website reviews. If you're interested, you can sign up on my website. The video should be showing you how to do that, and get emails when I post new articles there. I'll leave a link in the description as well. I'm actually going to be popping up 2 videos this week. I have my old review of Forager that you can learn more about the game from, and I have a video from last week talking about FMVs, and maybe that'll show you why I'm excited to play the Shapeshifting Detective, as it also covers the insane madness of Dr. Decker. Until then, I'm King Link, and thank you for watching.